Good evening. Good evening. This is another episode of Lessons with Larry. Matter of fact, it's episode 28. Today we're going to talk about post-election. I know it's been a lot going on since we've had the election. A lot of controversy, a lot of, you know, I would say a lot of negative ads, things of that nature. But the people of the United States basically spoke. And now, since it's post-election, we didn't have it. Now ain't no need of, us tripping about nothing. We just, what are we going to do moving forward? And I think that's very important. Something we need to focus on, like what will be our next moves as a people. Um, because obviously everything in this world is changing. Nothing is what it seems, nothing is what it's been. So by everything's changing, we have to also form and change with it. You can't go against the grain. You have to actually change with things. And I would say one of the things that we can benefit from changing with is coming together, as a collective and respecting each other. I think that would help us a whole lot. So that way, when we represent ourselves, we can be represented the right way. Um, I don't know how, the majority of the listeners feel about our president, new president elect, um, Donald Trump. But at the same time, he's been there before. And for those of us or those period, who didn't win by casting a vote the other way, um, as far as for the Democrats, 4 years, it could be done again. But I think that the Democrats received a good message. I think they needed it, me personally, because I think anytime you take something for granted, the only way you will miss it is when it's gone. You know what I mean? Other than that, you really won't miss it because you're taking it for granted. No, anyway, you told yourself it don't matter, but in reality, it does. So, just touching on a few of those things, I have James, Mayfield, the greatest Mayfield, with me. He's on boards and he's gonna join in the conversation. And we're just gonna talk about what we're gonna do moving forward as a people, and the decision has been made, so ain't nothing we can do about it. And just talk about some of the pros and some of the cons that we may, think that we may have, So, Mr. Mayfield, how's it going today?
It's going good, man. I appreciate you letting me come on the show tonight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Always welcome. Anytime.
So my first initial thing when I first woke up, because that night I didn't know, I couldn't really stay up. I was tired, I had stuff to do. So when I woke up, I felt energized and I felt like it's time for me to go to another level.
Right.
That was my feeling, and because I'm looking like my only thing in my mind is thinking like, okay, if he's gonna give the 1%ers or the high class people in the United States of America tax breaks, or the people who own their stuff and got big businesses and they in a certain tax bracket, that's where I'm trying to get, because I want to benefit too. So it kind of like it gave me motivation and put my back against the wall, kind of like I gotta either get there or get left behind.
Facts. And that involves definitely building generational wealth and making moves forward. There's no need to stand in one position and stump your feet and be mad and be upset. No, you have to use things that you disagree with or things that you agree with as motivation. You know what I mean? So to wake up with that positive mental attitude towards it, that's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing to hear. Me myself, I was kind of shocked. They said they almost guaranteed it was going to be a very close race. Um, I knew that black males and black people, as a rule, in my mind, I knew that they would play a significant role. Because that's only the time, by us voting in blocks, that's only the time that it really mattered, when they play a specific role, when it's tight. You know what I mean? Because you can be the swing vote. And then to see us go in different directions as far as some of the men versus the women, you know what I mean? Some people were voting to their interests, while others were voting to make history, to see history. In my opinion, I seen history when I seen Obama. But also, and I was proud of that moment. You know what I mean? It really made me feel something inside. I don't know if it was from the ancestors. I don't know what,
but I felt pride. I felt a sense of proudness. Like, a lot of people left this earth saying that this, thinking in their mind they could never see this. They couldn't even fathom it. But it actually happened and I was here to witness it. So that was a sense of uh uh I was enjoying the moment. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I was really enjoying the moment. And I'm gonna tell you how they got me. This how they really got me. I said, okay, well I understand you can't run talking about black president. I get that. I understand that. Okay. You can't just run talking about I'm gonna run for the blacks when we're not the majority. Okay, so I get it. So when they had their acceptance speech, his victory speech, I believe it was at Grant Park. Don't quote me, but this is what my mind telling me. So I believe it was in Grant Park in Chicago. And I remember him, I stayed up late just watching the news. I remember him, Michelle and the two girls, Sasha and Malaya. They was walking across the stage and I just felt just something come over me. And I told the people, I was like, man, this a monumental moment. Everybody was just tripping on it, you know, at the place where I was when I happened to, experience it and watch it unfold with so many other millions of people. Um, but what I did notice that Michelle and Barack, they had fist pump, and when they fist pump, I told the people around me, I'm like, yeah, that's just their way of saying they got us. You know what I'm saying? Without saying it, because signs and symbols for the conscious mind, and most uh, communications is nonverbal. So that fist pump, they let you know they still got us. They got us. We good. And needless to say, I was waiting for that good moment, and I never seen it. Not that I can say it was something that affected me or my, put me and my family or me and my loved ones ahead in life. I didn't see it. I didn't see no big drastic change. Um, while I sat back looking, I seen other people benefit from it that I didn't think would, but I wasn't hating on nobody just because you're getting some action. You know what I mean? It's good to see you get some action or whatever, but hey, what about us though? And I never heard nothing, never seen nothing. So that kind of left a bitter taste in my mouth. So I said, well, to making history points, you got me on that one time. I ain't finna give you that no more.
Yeah.
So I'm not interested in making history. If I'm here to see history unfold, beautiful thing. I was here at the right time because we all here and we all got to leave. You know, just like
Mm-hmm.
the children being born, when some comes, some got to go. As simple as that. So we only have a certain amount of time here anyway. So I decided not to utilize my time worrying about the things that's out of my control. What I do need to do is see where I can become a better person and perhaps influence somebody around me to become a better person. And then my immediate environment is a better place to be where I can see things grow. I can manifest positivity. I can manifest progress in my life, just by seeing that. So yeah, that's how it hit me. That's how. But I wasn't being you ain't gonna keep just getting me. I ain't that type of
Mm.
individual. You can tell me something and I give you the benefit of the doubt. But if you don't come through, you got me doubting my benefits. So I'm not gonna continue to get that to you. So you know what I mean. So that's what it was for me. So I really felt like it doesn't matter who's there. Only thing I do know is I need some relief
Yeah.
because it seems like you make more, but you spend more, so you're getting less.
So
Yeah.
yeah, let's break down a few things that you might have heard, I might have heard. So this is a hearsay. We don't know
Okay.
how true it
Right.
is.
Right. Right.
So we just generally talking, shooting the breeze, throwing it out there. So one thing I saw that he said that he possibly oh, I want to bring up that point you said earlier was very valid. Looking on social media, reading articles, and I ain't really talked about that much, but just social media got so much stuff out of there. Even the people that probably didn't vote for Trump or the United States of America, I haven't heard a real big uproar about him being in that position.
A big public outcry.
No, and then it's like some of the things he's been saying. Like one thing I liked to do when I first saw it after, I was like, okay, he about to be the president. He said, okay, I'm not gonna tax on overtime.
Mm.
Do you
Or
understand?
tips.
Or tips?
Now that's huge.
That's huge, and that affects everybody. It's like they say we a big melting pot anyway, but that affects everybody's well-being and putting extra money into the economy and into their families, into their family pockets. That's big.
I want to speak on the tipping part. Now, I do believe in tipping for good service,
Yes, yes,
but times have gotten so bad to where it's almost like the waitress or waiter, they expecting for you to tip. You know what I mean? It was a time when you felt like, hey, a tip is optional. You know what I mean? If I agree with the service and I like the service, then I'm gonna tip you. But I'm gonna tip you anyway. It just depends on how how much attention did you pay to this table? Um, how many things did you forget? You know what I mean? Things that nature. Okay, you got stuff. So I'm gonna make sure I bless you. You know, I might want to bless you in a way to where you may remember me. You know what I mean? But if not, I'm still gonna give you something. You know what I mean? Just for waiting on me. But they make you feel like it's Mando, like it's whole, And I'm like, you will go to a restaurant and they'll be charging gratuity, and they still want to tip. Saying,
yeah,
well, the gratuity, we got to divide that between the cook, the chef, the this, the that. Hold on, I didn't ask you all that. Only thing I know, I got 18%, checked onto my bill. You know what I mean? Now, if I want to tip you outside of that, that's up to me. But, the way it's going, and I understand the economy plays a big role in it. When you spend a whole lot more, but you're getting a whole lot less. You spend more for a box of cereal, for an example, but you get less cereal.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So you're spending more, but you're getting less. So yeah, I want touch on I want to actually touch on that tipping part, because you can see it. It's all about the economy. The writing be on the wall. We can
mm-hmm.
ignore. You might get an attitude that somebody like, dang, they act like we was born to get them a tip or something. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Don't they pay you for being here? I didn't sign the application for you, but it's just that tight for people.
yeah. It definitely is, and I can see that helping out the economy a lot. Also, I saw something said something about $5,000 per kid this year.
Tax
I don't
break.
know how
Oh,
true tax break. Now that could be big because
huge for
especially
yeah,
single mothers out
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Because some
Facts.
of them, I'm thinking it used to be 1,000, then it went up to 15 or maybe 2,000 or
1,400 or something like that.
something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
But some people taxes used to be 5 or 6,000. That's it. So,
yeah.
person with 2 or 3 kids and struggling, that's gonna help out a lot
Right.
to make sure they can get them a car, or do whatever they need to
Yeah,
do with the money. It's their
yeah.
business.
Right,
But
right. Facts.
if he
Flat
can
out.
do something like that, that'll be a big boost to the economy.
And I'm gonna tell you something else I noticed. The next day after I got up, not that I have any stocks, but I watch the stock market. You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah,
try to be conscious of what's going on in this world
yeah,
and world events, and you can tell by the stock market, like they say, um, it's supposed to be just the United States. But I started questioning, asking myself, well, if it's just about the United States, then why is it? Because somebody got in a war over here in Middle East. Why am I, why is it costing me more? How is it gonna affect me right here? And I don't hear an explosion, I don't hear none of that. You know what I mean? So
hmm,
why, but it's all connected. So as I was seeing the market the next day after, the election, uh everybody's stocks was up. Matter of fact, they still climb. The
yeah,
economists and people that monitor the stock market, it's like turned into a bull market. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Instead of a bear, and they've been a bear for a while.
yeah,
So I'm looking forward to cheaper gas prices.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's almost a given, because I don't really recall having no very high gas prices during the time of his first
Administration.
administration. Yeah, so I'm anticipating that, because they also have it was something about the Keystone pipeline,
Okay.
and that came from Canada, that was supposed to go down to Mexico, and that's why our gas prices, if according to my portion of understanding, our gas prices was cheaper, simply because it was going from Mexico, it was going from Canada down to Mexico, and so I heard that uh, he had actually signed an executive order and told them to open up some of our reserves. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? So that's what brought the gas prices down. And I think when they was doing that, the barrels was like $30 a barrel. When they had that going on, then the minute on day one, when the Biden administration stopped the Keystone pipeline, I believe the barrel shot up on day one. I believe the barrel shot up to like 150 a barrel.
Okay.
So that affected the gas prices all over immediately. But it stopped that thing that was going on as far as the Keystone pipeline, where I believe they were able to ship oil from Canada and get it down to Mexico, however they doing it. So I mean, it's really interesting to see, some of the changes that's going to take place, and I don't believe that none of us are in a position to really uh, change anything that's finna take place.
No.
So the only thing we can do is adjust to it,
Just.
prepare for it, and adjust to it.
Yeah.
And I think that if we spend a lot of time, spend as much time as we can investing in our future, which I will always say that our future is not just investing in tomorrow, putting something up for tomorrow, investing in them children.
Yes.
That's our true future. Because that's what's going to represent. They will be able to tell the people about us when we're gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's our future right there. So if we can get them children start coming together, start endorsing, becoming smarter, learning different things, um, taking on um, uh, taking on the task of becoming better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Planting seeds in them, giving them careers where they could be helped, like politicians. We want you to be a lawyer. You can be a doctor. You know that, right?
Yeah.
You can be a surgeon. Do you know that, right? And kind of like push them type of narratives towards our children. Other than that, we're gonna get left behind, and we're gonna always be at the bottom. And when you're on the bottom, it's hard to get up when you have everybody else standing on you, supporting themselves by standing on your back. How you feel about that, Brother James?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I feel more of with the political background that I have in policy, I feel more of letting them know that we can get those positions and we can be in those positions, and because if you ain't got a seat at the table,
You own the table.
you own the
If
table.
you ain't,
So
yeah,
pushing that, and that's something we might not see in our generation before we leave. But if we can push that and get more kids involved into politics or uh,
yeah,
different races or elections, especially on a local level, because even that stuff they doing, it trickles down to us. But one thing I do like about the United States, as I know it, is we have our own constitutions in different states to where a lot of stuff we get a lot of leeway from the government to make our own decisions on certain things when it's coming down the turnpike because it's all policy.
right.
So yeah, I feel the same way, and I also would like to say that it's a lot of things that they can do, but we're moving towards the technology. We're moving more towards robots, and a lot of those jobs that
AI
AI is going to be taking over. So we got to start prepping our children
for
to
coding.
coding and to work on them robots when they break down,
Exactly.
because that's
Exactly.
where the real money gonna be at. Because they can find people to do them surgeries as that doctor.
Robotic
They're gonna have
engineering.
robots in the
Of
courtroom one
course.
day,
Yeah.
probably before we leave here, to be able to see them fighting cases. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so
They can pull up a case log faster than human
all of
can.
that.
You
Yeah,
know?
so it's a lot of stuff that's gonna be took, but what ain't gonna be taken, somebody got to work on them robots.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
so what else did I hear? Oh, I heard that it's a possibility that um oh, okay. So the open carry that we have here in Michigan, when you got your open carry, is certain states that you can't go to with
You
it
can't
because
carry your
you can't
firearm.
carry your firearm in that state. So he's talking about opening that up to where it's valid in every state
If
that
you
you
have
go
it in
to.
one state, you can transfer. You
and
can
and, and
carry
that's
in the
vital
next.
though, for us as any exercising our constitutional rights,
Right.
right to bear arms. So
Right.
it's a lot of stuff happening, and Michigan and Flint ain't the only crazy place. It's a
Right.
lot of crazy stuff happening all over. So
Yeah.
I think that was something great. What do you think about that? Like, far as
Um.
if he can do that,
You.
if that's something he's planning on doing, if he
I
can do
mean,
it.
I think that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Okay.
In terms of a person being able to defend themselves. You go back to the cowboy days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't go from the wild wild west to wherever they was going. You know what I mean? And leave the very thing that made them become an apex predator of the world. Which is a firearm. Um, because I'll say, like, just like say, for instance, the only thing, like, You might take a strong lion, or you can take a gorilla, a silverback. He can. He has the strength to be able to slap your head off your shoulders. However, but with the firearm, that puts him in a position to where you could harm him without him even getting close to you. So that's what makes us the top dog on the food chain. And just being able to protect your home and protect yourself in your home. I would never try to deny nobody of that right. It just don't make sense. So I guess that's
So this topic might um little controversy, but mass
controversial.
deportation.
Oh,
I
the
mean,
deportation part.
yeah, because it's like, okay, you look at us as an economy and us as United States of America, and it's like, I'm gonna tell you something I really don't like about it and it really bugged me for us to be here this long, and like you was talking about it, and maybe we can bring out a little bit that maybe you could share a lot more light on it, but for an Asian or someone to come over and get killed and then they pass a law, but we just had that young brother get executed unalived here in
Okay.
Flint on Pasadena.
Oh wow. Yep.
I don't know if
I
you
heard.
heard about it.
I mean, I
Kayvon,
heard because I've heard some
Kayvon,
skit. Yeah, yes.
yeah,
May
but
he
see,
rest in heaven.
yeah, we ain't saw the body cam yet. The
Mm.
stories is inconclusive. We not hearing nothing, and it's like justice needs to be served at George Floyd. Let you talk about that a little bit more. Remember you showing me that paper? You remember
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the stuff on there? Like,
I was really. It was during the election when I was actually doing a little research. And I was saying how I believe that us as African Americans or whatever you want to identify yourself as, if it's melanated people or whatever, we have plenty representation in the right places. Plenty. You know what I mean? I was thinking about the Asian hate crime,
okay,
Asian hate crime bill. Well, it was a crime bill, and they called it the COVID-19 Act because it happened during COVID-19.
okay,
Because I guess when they were saying that the disease actually, I mean, that the virus came from a lab in Wuhan, so I think the Asian people were getting discriminated against or whatever, getting picked on or and they called it Asian hate crime. So I said, man, well, that's when they was talking about a bill for them to protect it, I was like, okay, that makes sense because no one should be discriminated against or just because of your race, creed, or color. I don't believe in that. You know what I mean? We all here. You know what I'm saying? So nevertheless, so I went looking into it a little bit deeper. I said, okay, we got something to match that kind of like around the same time. Um, the George Floyd bill. I remember hearing that it had some steam, and they was talking about it a lot. I actually thought that it was actually passed in the law, but come to find out it wasn't. So the Asian hate crime bill called the COVID-19 Act, it got signed, I want to say in March. I think either on or before March 20, around March 20th of 2021 by President Biden. He signed it into law. And so I said, well, okay, well, that's a law. That's the law of the land. So for the Asian hate crime bill called the COVID-19 Act. So I was like, okay, well, I wonder how many representatives do they have in Congress and in the Senate. So I looked that up, and they said they had in Congress they had a total of 20. They said they had 18 representatives, in Congress of Asian American or Asian, descent. Is 18 representatives and two senators. So I was like, okay, wow, that's okay. So it's 20 altogether. So I said, well, let's see what's up with the George Floyd thing. So I looked that up, and I seen it pass the House of Representatives, and I seen that. I said, well, how many representatives do we have? Well, come to find out, in total number in Congress, we of African American descent, we have 60. 57 was in the representatives, in the House of Representatives, and then we have three senators. So I'm like, okay. So I'm wondering. So when I looked, it said the George Floyd bill it passed. It was about police, where police couldn't use excessive force, where they couldn't use the chokehold and all that. It was, kind of making it to where they can't do none of the excessive force. So I looked up there and I said, man, it passed in the House of Representatives, but it didn't pass in the Senate, so it never made it to become law. And I found that to be, kind of odd. And I'm like, we definitely got enough representation there, but we're not getting the. I don't think that we're actually getting the the results that we need, or the laws ain't, they're not really falling in our favor. So it looked like, to me, it looked like it's more difficult for us to get laws passed for some reason, or another. So yeah, that's what that was. That's what I seen on that.
Okay. I was just sitting I was just sitting here reading some of the stuff that I was finding online about some of the election stuff and things he promised, but he's a funny guy anyway, so that's why I was over here chuckling.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at some of the different things that they saying that he might. What's his stance on certain things, and I was just reading through it. But one thing it did say that was kind of funny to me is that he doesn't acknowledge Joe Biden as a president of the United States. So I'm going through this and I'm just reading it. It says, yeah, it's funny.
He need to get on past all that. That's over with.
No, but I'm just saying this is something I'm reading.
Right,
no, I'm
right. No, but
I'm saying, looking through it, but they will ass up with it.
Even if that's what's on his mind, he still need to be getting. Need to focus on which direction is you gonna navigate this course. You know what I mean? And how, and I look at it like we have a lot of collective power. If you think, I think we are the biggest consumers here. Yeah, by
definitely.
far.
And you know what? I liked the strategy that Dick Gregory talked about. I read a book a while back.
What was the name?
Called The Defining Moments of History. It was Dick Gregory's book.
Okay.
Great book. Audio book.
Okay.
I like a lot of audios when I'm doing stuff. But
right.
And he talked about this idea and playing with this idea, talking about, the black dollar and how it leaves our community so quick and make your head spin. But they keep it in other communities. But this is what he said, and it made a lot of sense. He said, if we all came together, especially during the holidays, starting around this time, and we start boycotting stuff and not spending our money with these big companies, and we put a list around, and I don't know if they ever came out with that app to let you know when you go to different cities where the black businesses are and restaurants.
They used to have it was a map. What was it called? The Greenwood map or something? It's some type of map that they used to travel with, like for sundown towns. I'm just saying, well, like black business, like if you black and you traveling to the south, this is where you can go get gas at. Don't go over here. Go to this gas station.
Well, I think it's something more up to date, but I
no,
can't
I'm just
remember
saying. I'm thinking
the rappers or whoever it was that was putting it like like an app. So, but anyway, he said if we took that our same money and then spend it with the big companies and we spent it with our people and kept it circulating, that we would be in a better place. And not only would they listen to our demands, they would beg for us to come back and spend money with them. Fact. Because we are pretty much bankrupt them.
I mean,
but it was a lot more tied into that. When I thought about it, I said, damn, especially during the Christmas holidays and Thanksgiving and Black Friday, just to boycott it all.
Yeah, but before we even get to that far, we would definitely have to, get ourselves together as far as mentally. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we have to get ourselves together as far as mentally prepare ourselves to support one another. You know what I mean? Seriously. Yeah. It would take that because we so far off course. Like I would say this, like even when they talk about, I heard the term immigration tossed around and things of that nature. And I think that we already experienced immigration. I didn't see a form of immigration when I look at me growing up. During the '60s, it might have been the last era, '60s and '70s. It might have been the last part. But I remember when people that looked just like me and you had these businesses. You know what I'm saying? You had Dave's Haircut Center. You had Hampton's Party Store. You had the Grant's Party Store. You had all these different stores. I can go on and on. You had D's Grill. We had these businesses. You know what I mean? We had a cab companies. You know what I'm saying? We had these businesses within our community.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, everybody started. When I want to say, I'm not gonna call it desegregation, but when other people came to our country and then got all these tax breaks and bought our stores, and now put them in our community, and now they send their kids to the best, best universities, and uh, and I'm not hating on them or mad at them. You know what I'm saying? For being able to benefit from something that they was given, but and it kind of like it hurt us to where we didn't. It started us to where we stopped supporting each other. So when we stop, if don't nobody support your business, guess what? You go out of business.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just like I would say. That's why I kind of like be like, why would they have why why in our communities these corner stores and gas stations they won't cut the grass and all that, and you see these same owners which these own stores in the suburbs, you know, and it looks fine, but within our community, the parking lots be trashed up, and I understand, it's a whole different because don't nobody care. You know what I'm saying? And but you taking money from here and you taking it to your community and where it circulates and circulates and circulates, but never comes back here. So you know what I mean? But in order for it's we got some real work to do in terms of getting ourselves together. You know what I mean? Because if we don't get ourselves together and get our mind in the right place, then none of this will matter no way. It's just talk. You know what I'm saying? For real.
So my thing is that when I started doing a lot of self development with myself when I got out of school and figuring out who I was and the
Which
things that I
direction
needed
you
to
wanted
do,
to go.
yeah, and it was like having that good heart and want to help people is good, but then sometimes you get to realizing, especially here in the city, Flint, that people really don't want the help. And I feel like it's like sometimes when you look at it, it'd be like I could be giving my time and more of myself
Excuse me.
to my family and loved ones, or trying to build some stuff and govern some stuff that I can do. Because it's like when you look at it, it's like when you die, ain't nobody trying to jump in that cat, ain't no group caskets. Ain't no I'm jumping in there with you, all that is move on to the next.
Like I
And,
said, I
and
ain't
you
never.
gotta so,
And then the flip side is when you die, also you can't take none of it with you because I have
yeah,
yet to see a U-Haul truck in the funeral concession. I
yeah.
ain't seen that.
So I mean, there was just my train of thought is like trying
How
to.
do you know who to help?
I get a feeling.
Okay,
I get a feeling.
okay.
So like for instance, let's say I'm walking down the street or I pull up somewhere and people be begging for money or can I get something to eat or something, and we all go by and we all get off the highway and see them,
Yeah.
and they ask, and it's just like some of them I look out for, some of them I won't. It depends on if I get that feeling, like I feel like they really need it, or it's something compelled to me to be like, look out. I just feel what I want to do.
Okay.
It's hard to explain.
Okay. So for
If I
me,
do it, it's a feeling.
okay. So for me, it's more so about I got to see you trying to help yourself. Like say for instance, if you fell on the ground. If I see you just rolling over, just I'm on the ground, but you ain't propping up on your elbows, you ain't even trying to get up, then I might as well just go and keep it moving. Because no sooner than if I do help you, 9 times out of 10 you probably ain't gonna appreciate it. But we ain't even tripping on that. But what is you gonna do with this help once you get it? Is when the help stop, are you gonna stop? You know what I mean? Or are you gonna keep going? So generally, a person that's trying to help themselves, you know what I'm saying, and just need some help, then you help them because it won't take much to get them going to where they'll be able to get themselves together.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's just kind of like what my take on it. If I see somebody trying to help, I don't mind giving you a hand because it ain't gonna take long. I ain't got to give you the rest of my life or all my time, because you just need a hand. You know what I mean? But I see you, needing a hand. And if I can give it to you, you got that. You ain't got to ask for it. You got it.
Okay. So moving forward with like I said, how I felt about it, how I still feel about it,
Yeah.
and looking at it, I mean, far as just the post election
Okay.
and what we got to
Okay.
deal with in the future, it's just like, hey, what the baby's gonna do?
Right, because that's
You
what's
know what I'm
important.
saying?
See, a
If
lot of
you
people
keep
ain't thinking
crying, what
about
the
them
baby's gonna
children,
do?
man.
Like,
You got to think about them kids, man. You got to. You got to.
so
You can't give up on them, and you have to think about them, man. They very important. They instrumental in our, in our existence. Actually, who you think gonna take care of us when we become kids again?
hopefully them same kids if you treated them right.
That's right. right? If you, but you gotta treat them right. And,
Yeah.
not so much as give them everything they need, because what they need is not materialistic. They need, wisdom. They need time invested in them. They need guidance. You know what I mean? So those are the things that that's really needed. You know, and like you say, they say the best way of predicting the future is by creating it. You know, so yeah. But I do agree with you. About the children. And this post election, I think that it would be nice if everybody just take the time to say something nice to someone. You know what I mean? And and start thinking together as a collective. Not saying we all got to agree, got to vote the same way. It's not about that. But it's a lot of issues that we have to straighten out and iron out before we get to voting. There's a whole lot of issues that need to be straightened out, and things of that nature. So I think that you know, I think I think our future gonna be bright. It's gonna be what we make it. And we just have to prepare for any changes that come along. And I would say that our um, the most power that the most, in my opinion, the most power that anybody have is in a local, in a local legislation, local politics within their community. That's where your voice really make a mean difference, or can make a difference. And I think that was pretty all right about the post election. We shall see what will be. We shall see what will be.
Yeah, maybe we can come back and maybe summer and talk about and
Yeah.
see what might have transpired. So we'll be this episode
One
28. So
one thing I did notice, and I like to say, I seen a lot. Well, just according to what I've seen on the news, and I've seen a lot of other countries, kind of like uh, they seem like they kind of like humbling themselves. When they congratulate them, you know, I was just seeing how they congratulate and some of the things that was being said, you know, um, you know,
hmm,
and they well wish speeches, to the president. And
we wasn't getting none of that
yeah,
last administration.
right. It seemed
I
like
ain't seen none of it.
yeah, it seemed like you can smell a little fear, but also uncertainty. I call it uncertainty. You know what I mean? So, we all got to wait and see. Wait and see thing. We all gonna have to wait this one out and see it through. And like I said, hopefully everything get better. If not, then we got 4 more years. In 4 more years, we can vote again and change this. And change this, change it again. Just keep changing it till we get it right. Like I said, this has been another episode 28 with Lessons with Larry. You got the greatest Mayfield. We are on Out of the Mud Inc. I'd like to also say Happy Veterans Day to the veterans, and send a shout out to George F. Grundy II. The greatest veteran. You know, um, but yeah, so happy Veterans Day, and y'all have a nice day. And
Yep,